Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We have more gaming and PlayStation news, rumours and leaks to go over. In fact, we have so much great gaming news to cover. Go and get yourself a snack, settle down and let's crack on. There is only really one place to start, and that is with Insomniac Games revealing Wolverine at the PlayStation State of Play. After years of silence, Insomniac Games reintroduced Wolverine back into the spotlight. Not only did they release a new trailer, which consisted of a mix of cutscenes and some actual gameplay, they also confirmed that Wolverine was going to have a release window of fall 2026. And all I can say is, wow, this is not the Spider-Man style nicey, clean, tidy, respectable superhero that some people might have been expecting. This is brutal, bloody, violent and raw, and thankfully it feels unapologetically true to who Wolverine actually is. In the trailer running in the background, Wolverine isn't holding back. He's carving through enemies with his claws, tearing limbs and leaving behind a bloody trail. This isn't flashy superhero combat stuff, this is survival, this is pure rage, almost animalistic rage, and that's exactly the point. Insomniac has said many times that they want to capture the heart of Wolverine as a character, and that means showing the violence, but also digging into the man behind it. The official description of the game teases Logan searching for answers about his past. He's a man scarred by experimentation, haunted by memory loss, and burdened by the fact that he's both human and weapon. It's a character arc that's driven Wolverine in the comics for decades, and now it's shaping the backbone of this Insomniac game. And this is such a big deal because Wolverine hasn't exactly had the best history with video games. If you look back, you'll find him as part of ensemble cast in titles like X-Men Legends, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and various other fighting games. There was even X-Men Origins Wolverine back in 2009, which was surprisingly well received for a movie tie-in because of how much it leaned into brutal combat. But a true modern standalone Wolverine game, well, that's something fans have been asking for many years. And who better to take on that challenge than Insomniac Games? Because Insomniac Games are one of the most reliable studios in the industry right now. Think about their track record. They have never let us down. Ratchet & Clank, Spider-Man, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, every one of those games delivered quality, fun and polish. Sure, some people have opinions about Spider-Man 2, but apart from a few missions and a slightly weaker story than the previous Spider-Man game, you cannot deny the quality of both of those Spider-Man games. Each and every time Insomniac has delivered high quality AAA games. Insomniac has a knack for understanding character-driven action games. With Spider-Man, they captured the feeling of swinging through New York while also telling heartfelt stories about Peter Parker and Miles Morales. With Ratchet & Clank, they delivered some of the best visuals and tightest gameplay on PlayStation. And now they're tackling Wolverine, a character who couldn't be more different from Spider-Man, and that's what makes this game so exciting. Can the studio that gave us one of the most joyful superhero games also deliver one of the darkest? And the reception to Wolverine, well, that's been absolutely massive. Within hours of release, the Wolverine trailer racked up millions of views on YouTube, along with hundreds of thousands of likes. Fans on social media and gaming forums called it exactly what they've been waiting for. As of recording this video, the Wolverine trailer on PlayStation's official YouTube channel has over 6.5 million views with over 450,000 likes. Polls are showing that the majority of players are now more hyped than ever before, with many saying this is the PlayStation 5 exclusive that they've been waiting for. Very few people walked away disappointed. This trailer of Wolverine hits hard because frankly the console generation has been a little up and down, right? I think we can all admit that. The PlayStation 5 has sold incredibly well. Nobody can deny that, and nobody can deny the quality of some of the games on PlayStation 5. But when you look at the lineup of true first-party exclusives, at the moment, midway through, it hasn't felt as packed as past generations, and I suppose that's the only thing of the PlayStation 5 generation that's been a little bit disappointing so far, that first-party output. A lot of PlayStation studios have been working quietly behind the scenes with only a handful of big titles released so far, and the biggest reason for this is because of Sony's strategy around 2019-2020 to focus on driving all first-party studios to make live service games, which they course corrected in 2023, but as a result ended up wasting years of development time, multiple cancelled projects and so on. I mean, I don't want to get into all that discussion right now. We've been through all of this before on many occasions, but you get the picture. That lost time meant that first-party studios were not as productive aggressive on single player games, big or small games, as they would have been in the past. And that's left many players hungry for something new and bold, something that justifies owning the PlayStation 5 console, something that feels like a true flagship experience. And Wolverine might just be that game. Don't get me wrong, guys, I love the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro. I've really enjoyed the PS5 generation so far. The quality, as I've mentioned before, the quality on the PlayStation 5 is absolutely brilliant, but I want more. I want more from Sony first party. Call me greedy if you want, but thankfully, going forward, we will see more first party games. And just to add, just to note on here, typically in a console life cycle from midway through to the end of the console, we usually get more first party content anyway, right? It's traditional in gaming history that you tend to get more big hitting games midway towards the end of the console. So expect more first party Sony games over the next 2 to 3 years anyway. Now, one thing worth pointing out with Wolverine is the tone of the game. Insomniac is leaning heavily into mature, violent gameplay. This is a big departure from the teen-rated, family-friendly style of Spider-Man, and honestly, it's refreshing. Me personally, I love these types of games because not many studios and publishers make these types of brutal, realistic, grounded games that are dark. They don't come around too often, unless you kind of like the horror genre, which I do, and there's some good horror games out there, but from an action perspective, you don't tend to get dark, brutal, violent games too often. So when they do come around, it's a pleasure to play them and enjoy them. It shows that Insomniac is not afraid to stretch their creative muscles. They're not just the Spider-Man studio. They're proving that they can handle darker material, push boundaries, and still deliver quality. And let's be honest, Wolverine demands this type of treatment. You can't water him down without losing what makes him unique. He's not a quippy, optimistic hero. He's a man defined by trauma, rage, and that constant struggle to control the weapon that he's become. So the gore, the dismemberment, and the sheer brutality is not just for the shock value, it's character driven. It's part of the storytelling. But the big question really is, what kind of game will Wolverine actually be? The trailer showed us combat, but what about the structure? Will it be open world like Spider-Man, where Logan roams a city or even a region? Or will it be more linear and narrative driven, something closer to The Last of Us or a God of War, like a semi-open world type game? Both options are on the table. An open world could work if it's smaller, tighter, and built around Wolverine's scale. He's not a superhero who swings across skyscrapers. His world is darker and more grounded. A story-driven, semi-open structure could give us that intensity while keeping the pacing tight. And if you check out the description of Wolverine online, the game's genre is described as a open-world action game, non-linear gameplay. So is it fully open world, like a Spider-Man kind of game where you're free to totally roam around the world anyhow you want? It's still unclear, but it does sound fascinating. Even if it's semi-open world, a bit like The Last of Us 2, that works for me too. Another question is, how will Wolverine's healing factor and rage be integrated into the gameplay? Do you manage health like a traditional character, or does his regeneration change the dynamic? And will rage work like a special ability that alters combat, pushing Logan into a frenzy? Obviously, there's a rage mode in God of War, but there was also a rage mode in Ghosts of Tsushima, right? So do you build up your ability for rage and then you can trigger it once you've achieved the amount of points or collectibles you need to go crazy? Still questions, right? These are the design questions that will shape how the game plays and performs. And they're some of the things that fans are already speculating about and looking forward to learning more about. And looking at the bigger picture, Wolverine's return also says a lot about PlayStation strategy. Sony knows they need big exclusives to define the PlayStation 5. Games like Spider-Man 2, Horizon, Returnal, God of War Ragnarok have carried the torch, right? But players are looking to the future, and Wolverine is that future. Marvel's Wolverine is set for fall 2026 release. It's a PlayStation 5 exclusive. It's violent, it's dark, and it's shaping up to be the most faithful video game adaptation of Logan yet. The fans are hyped, the industry is watching, and Insomniac is stepping into a new creative territory. And the big questions now are, will it live up to the hype? And will it deliver the depth of story and gameplay that Wolverine deserves? And most importantly, can it become the defining PlayStation 5 game of this generation? We're going to have to wait and see. But one thing is for sure, Wolverine is back. And this time, he's not holding anything back. Guys, I'm so excited about Wolverine. Insomniac Games has never let me down. Never. So I'm excited. And for me personally, the trailer has not lived up to expectations. It's exceeded them. It surpassed my expectations. I wasn't expecting what I saw. So I'm very, very hyped for this game. Let me know what you think about this game, because While we're talking about this game that we're hyped for, we finally also got to see gameplay from Saros for the very first time. Not only that, we also know exactly when the game is coming out. Saros is set to launch on March the 20th, 2026 as a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Now, if the name Housemarque rings a bell, it's probably because of Returnal. Back in 2021, Returnal put Housemarque on the map globally in a massive way. Before Returnal, the Finnish studio was best known for arcade-inspired hits like Resogun and Nex Machina. Tight, fast, challenging games with flashy effects and addictive loops. But Returnal was a game changer for them globally. It was a third-person sci-fi shooter with roguelike elements, a risky move for a studio that's never made a game of that scale before, and yet it worked. The game Returnal was praised for its atmosphere, story, and most importantly, its gameplay loop. It became one of the standout exclusives on the PlayStation 5, and it proved that Housemarque could deliver on a much bigger scale and a bigger stage. And I know many people praise Returnal. This is their best game on the PlayStation 5. Honestly, it's such a good game. If you've not played Returnal, go and play it. It's fantastic. So when people found out that Housemarque's next project was already in development, expectations already are very high. And now with Saros, we're finally seeing what they've been working on. Now, the game Saros follows Arjun Devraj, played by Rahul Kohli. Arjun is a solitary enforcer, and he finds himself trapped on the lost colony of Carcosa. The world itself is under permanent eclipse. It's dark, it's dangerous, it's unstable, and this is where the environments constantly change within that world. The colony is made up of shape-shifting biomes and hostile ruins. Nothing stays the same. That means every run feels unique, and every encounter keeps you on your toes. The gameplay itself looks pretty intense. It's fast, cinematic, and built around precision. You can dodge, parry, and shield, as you can see from the trailer being played in the background. You will have access to both human and alien weaponry, a high-tech arsenal that keeps evolving as you play. The focus isn't just on surviving, but on mastering the patterns, learning how enemies move, and adapting on the fly. And then there are the bosses. Massive cinematic encounters designed to push you to the edge of your abilities. If you thought Returnal's boss fights were something, Saros looks like it's raising the bar again. But of course, you're not going to win every fight. You are going to die a lot. And that's where the roguelike elements come into play. In Saros, death is not the end. Instead, it's a chance to come back stronger. The game features permanent upgrades, evolving equipment, and something called the second chance system. This ensures that every time you fall, you return with new tools, new power, and a better shot at surviving. Does that sound familiar to you? It's the same philosophy that made Returnal so addictive, that sense of progress even in failure. And now it's back, refined, and reimagined for a new world. But here's where things get really interesting. Housemarque isn't developing Saros alone. For the first time, another studio, another PlayStation studio in fact, is stepping in to help, and that is Nixxes Studio. Now, if you followed PlayStation over the years, you've probably heard of Nixxes. They're usually the ones that handle the PC ports. Games like Spider-Man Remastered, Miles Morales, Ratchet & Clank, Rift Apart, and Horizon, they've worked on all of those games. They've built a reputation for delivering high-quality ports, making Sony exclusives run beautifully on PC. But recently, Nixxes has started to expand. They're no longer just a porting studio. In fact, their work on Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered was their first big step into creative development. And now with Saros, Nixxes is playing an even bigger role. They have confirmed that their art and game design teams are directly involved in the project. They're working alongside Housemarque on key elements of art and gameplay. That's a big change in the Nixxes setup. It shows that Nixxes is growing into something more than a support studio. They're becoming a full creative partner inside PlayStation Studios. It's almost a similar path that Bluepoint Studios took before becoming a fully fledged first-party studio. Bluepoint worked on several creative projects as a PlayStation partner, not necessarily a first-party studio, before Sony acquired them, and they were then given other projects to work on. But what does this mean with Nixxes supporting Housemarque? Firstly, it likely means a smoother, more polished game. Housemarque has already got a reputation for tight, precise gameplay, but with Nixxes helping on design and art, the extra hands could push it even further. Secondly, maybe Nixxes is in line at some point over the next few years to stand on their own feet and make their own game. Or it all but guarantees that when Saros eventually does come out, it will come to PC. And let's be honest, that's probably going to happen, and the port will be a top quality game when Nixxes already working on it, right? So if Nixxes is already part of the development, they're going to know the game inside out. And after all, Returnal hit PC, so it wouldn't surprise me if Nixxes working with Housemarque is part of that long-term strategy that this game is coming to PC at some point, maybe 12 months down the line after the release, right? What we do know is that Saros is more than just another PlayStation 5 exclusive. This is Housemarque's chance to cement themselves as one of Sony's key creative studios. Returnal was their breakout, Saros could be their masterpiece. It also fills a gap in the PlayStation 5 lineup of games. When you think about PlayStation exclusive games, a lot of them are action-adventure games, right? Great games, but action-adventure. Spider-Man, Horizon, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yotei, and so on and so on. But a roguelike sci-fi shooter with cinematic boss fights, that's a very different kind of experience. And it shows Sony is willing to support variety, not just sequels to their biggest franchises. March 2026 release date is also not too far away, which suggests the game is all but complete, and the studio is probably now just working through final polish. We've already seen real gameplay, the tone, the structure, the mechanics, they're all in place, which is a great sign. So, guys, will Saros live up to the hype? Will it surprise people the way Returnal did? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and let's move on. Now, Sony has been making changes to its reward system. If you've been using PlayStation Stars, you'll know it wasn't perfect, but at least it had one clear benefit. You could earn credit for the PlayStation Store. Those points can actually save you money long term, but of course Sony scrapped that reward system and has announced something new called franchise rewards. And let's just say the reception hasn't been exactly positive. Here's how it works. By unlocking certain trophies in select games, like completing the campaign or earning a platinum trophy, you'll gain access to exclusive merchandise. It sounds cool on paper, right? But here's the catch. You still have to pay for it. The merchandise isn't free. A t-shirt is still $30 odd, a pin badge is $25, and that's before shipping, which will only add to the cost. So honestly, I don't get it, guys. I just don't get it. Fans are asking the obvious question. Is it really a reward? Or is it just a fancy way of gatekeeping merchandise behind achievements? What do you think? Because when you think about it, what's the difference between this and just selling items in a regular store? Is this like exclusive access to these items before they hit retailers? Many players have said they prefer a system where trophy hunters at least got discounts on games or accessories, something that actually feels like a thank you for playing and completing the game, or going the extra mile in the game and dedicating all that time, instead of just early access to a store. After all, PlayStation Stars lets you turn points into gift cards and money off, right? You get money off games, which is what 99% of people gaming actually want, discounts on games and accessories. Now, with this new reward system, you're paying even more money to get the reward. It doesn't make sense to me. Of course, not everyone hates it. Some fans actually do like the idea of exclusive pins and t-shirts that show off their in-game achievements. But overall, the reaction has been largely negative. And you have to wonder, if Sony is replacing PlayStation Stars loyalty program with this, is it really an upgrade? What do you think, guys? Let me know how you feel about this in the comments, and let's move on. Now, according to new reports, a new PlayStation 5 Pro revision is on the way. Now, don't get too excited. This isn't a major upgrade. It's more like a refined version of the PlayStation 5 Pro, which was announced earlier this year. And the model number is CF17121. And it's expected to release in Europe at the end of this month, which is like next week. And the price is €799. That's roughly the same as the current PlayStation 5 Pro. So what's actually new? Because details are still scarce at the moment, but based on how Sony has handled revisions in the past, it's likely going to be more energy efficient, maybe a little quieter too. Now, of course, with each revision, sometimes the internal specs change ever so slightly to help reduce the cost of manufacturing. So I suspect it costs less to make and assemble than the current PlayStation 5 Pro. That being sold at the same price ensures that there's more profit on each new revision of the PlayStation 5 Pro which is sold. The storage is also staying the same at 2TB, so don't expect any big leaps there. So I suspect this is the model Sony will use with its GTA 6 PlayStation 5 Pro bundles in May next year, ensuring that they capitalize making more profit with each PS5 Pro bundle that is sold with GTA 6 next year. Now, what's exciting though is the technology coming in 2026. Reports also say the PlayStation 5 Pro will receive a major upgrade to its PSSR technology through FSR4, which is AMD's latest upscaling technology. We've heard lots of rumors about this throughout the year, and no doubt this is something that's going to happen. Let's just hope it happens before the GTA 6 release in May. Now, PlayStation's own Mark Cerny has already hinted at this, saying it won't be the full PSSR system just yet, but this next upgrade will be a big step forward in visuals. And speaking of the PlayStation 5, Sony has been quick to remind everybody that the PlayStation 5 is its most successful PlayStation console ever. That's not just in sales, though sales have been strong, it's in profit. Sony's CEO, Hideaki Nishino, announced at the Tokyo Game Show that the PlayStation 5 has generated more profit than any previous PlayStation console. And that number doesn't just include the hardware, it includes the PlayStation Store, subscriptions like PS Plus, and accessories. In other words, it's the whole PlayStation ecosystem that's bringing in record-breaking revenue. Now, does that mean more PlayStation 5s have been sold than the PS2 or PS4? No, not necessarily. But the way that these companies now measure success in the gaming industry has changed, right? It's not just about physical units anymore. It's about how much money is flowing in from digital storefronts and services. Still, the generation hasn't been cheap for us players. The consoles are more expensive, games are more expensive, accessories are not exactly cheap either. And to top that off, inflation's causing everyone a headache. And most importantly, the cost of being a gamer in 2025, something we love to do. It's more than just a hobby. The price has definitely gone up in every aspect. But despite all of that and all those challenges, the PlayStation 5 is thriving. And Sony sees this as the new benchmark moving forward. Okay guys, let's move on to more gaming news. We have some news from Square Enix. It looks like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is doing better than many expected. When the game first launched, Square Enix admitted it hadn't met internal sales expectations. Naturally, fans were worried. But according to director Naoki Hamaguchi, things have improved. In a recent interview, he confirmed that Rebirth is performing very well on both PS5 and PC. And more importantly, development on Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is going smoothly. Hamaguchi even went as far as to say the third game is shaping up nicely. He explained that a lot of the content is already playable, the direction is set, and now the focus is on polishing everything. Square Enix is still aiming for a 2027 release of the third part. And if you're wondering, yes, recording for Cloud and the rest of the cast is reportedly already underway. Hamaguchi said that he wants Part 3 to be remastered as one of the most loved Final Fantasy games ever. It's a bold statement considering how high the bar already is, but if Rebirth has proven anything, it's that there is still a massive appetite for Cloud, Sephiroth, and the world of Gaia. Hopefully Final Fantasy VII Part 3 will live up to the hype in 2027 and be a fitting finale for the trilogy. So let's move on and talk about the biggest PlayStation franchise of all time, and that is Gran Turismo, a name that's been part of gaming history for nearly 30 years. Sony and Polyphony Digital have just announced that the franchise has officially sold over 100 million copies worldwide. Think about that for a moment. 100 copies of Gran Turismo sold. Millions of people lining up at stores, well, back in the days we used to line up at stores, or downloading from their consoles, choosing to step into the driver's seat of Gran Turismo. That's not just a milestone, that's a cultural impact. Now, Kazunori Yamauchi, the creator of the series, reflected on this achievement. He spoke about the simple act of picking up a game box at a store, paying for it, and taking it home. Now, multiply that by millions, multiple millions. For him, that number is mind-blowing. He thanked the automotive industry, Sony, the retailers, and most importantly, the players who have supported the series for 28 years. And to celebrate this amazing achievement, Gran Turismo 7 is getting a major update this December. It's called Spec 3, and it's packed with lots of new content. We're getting 2 new tracks, Yas Marina Circuit and Circuit Jolivet Nouveau. For racing fans, those names speak for themselves, and they're legendary tracks. Add to that 8 new cars, improved tyres through a Dunlop partnership, a data logger for detailed analysis, and even an increase in the collector level app. There's more too. Unlimited car invitations in Brand Central, an updated weekly challenge system, a new cinematic opening movie, new seasonal menus, extra events in Circuit Experience, online race improvements, and even fresh curation in scapes. Gran Turismo has always been about chasing realism. It's about making the player feel like they're actually behind a wheel of a real machine. And with 100 million sales, it's safe to say it's a vision that continues to resonate. And the only place you can play Gran Turismo is on PlayStation. It's another reason why exclusive content is so important. It keeps the platform alive. And this is just more evident of why people love to game on PlayStation. With games like GT7. Absolutely incredible achievement from the team at Polyphony Digital. The fact that they're continuing to add more and more content to the game is brilliant. The fact that this also supports VR is absolutely awesome, something which I cannot wait to test out later this year. And speaking of VR, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is confirmed to be coming to PlayStation 5 with PSVR 2 support. So Microsoft Flight Simulator is a series that has always been about one thing, and that's freedom. The freedom to fly anywhere in the world at any time in any weather. And now for the very first time, it's coming to PlayStation. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 will officially launch on December the 8th, 2025, and it's bringing some big features with it too. For starters, PlayStation VR 2 support is on the way in 2026 through a free upgrade. That means players will be able to slip on their headsets, grab their sense controllers, and experience flight like never before. And imagine sitting in a cockpit, not looking at a screen, but actually just turning your head to see the clouds, the horizon, and the world below. That level of immersion is on a whole new level. And I can't wait to test this out, especially flying over famous cities and landmarks, just being able to look out the window or right ahead and just feeling like you're actually there. Just cannot wait to test this out on VR. A game that will also take full advantage of the DualSense controllers. Adaptive triggers will react to different speeds and terrains. You'll feel the rumble of takeoff, the resistance of landing gear, and the subtle pressure of flying through turbulence. But Flight Simulator isn't just about flying for fun. This new version introduces a career system, so players can now start to build their aviation journey by taking on missions across the globe. You will have the option to fight fires from the sky, perform search and rescue missions, help with agriculture or aerial construction. The game lets you live out all of these experiences. It's a massive world too, with over 40,000 airports, 60,000 helipads, and endless skies to explore. The question is, will all of this be available when you actually buy the game? Or are certain bits, planes, locations, airports, and so on, are they going to be locked behind a paywall or other microtransactions? Big question for me. I think the fact that the game will support PSVR 2, that will tempt many people to give this a try. Just like me, I wouldn't normally get a flight sim game, but simply because I will be getting the PSVR 2 later this year, I'm now interested in picking up flight sim to get that different level of immersion in this game. So I can't wait. Guys, let me know your thoughts on flight sim coming to PlayStation 5, and if you play on PSVR 2, is this something on your radar for when that new free upgrade kicks in next year? Let me know your thoughts, and let's move on. For Metal Gear Solid fans, there's a lot to be excited about right now. First off, let's talk about Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. This remake has already been drawing attention for bringing back one of the most iconic stealth games of all time. But Konami is not stopping there. They're adding something fresh to the mix, and that is a brand new online multiplayer mode called Fox Hunt. This is a free update, and it drops on October the 30th of this year. And it's not just another standard multiplayer add-on. Instead of simply reviving the old Metal Gear Online formula, Konami is taking things in a new direction. You join Fox, the covert unit, as a candidate member. Your job is to survive through intense training missions that feel just as deadly as the real thing. You'll need to scavenge weapons and gear, outthink your opponents, and adapt to shifting scenarios. There are two main game types. The first is a survival-style mission that revolves around capturing keratin frogs. But here's the catch: as the match goes on, fewer and fewer frogs remain. That forces players closer together, sparking intense encounters as everyone scrambles for the last few. Then there's Survival Intrude, where players fight for control over zones. Each round, the safe zone shrinks, which means stealth and positioning becomes critical. Stay too long in the open and you'll be caught. Move too slowly and you'll be forced out. To keep it authentic, Fox Hunt introduces some unique mechanics. Every player comes equipped with special camo suits, which is special gear that instantly adapts camouflage patterns to your surroundings, perfect for ambushing, sneaking, or escaping a fight. There's also the Naked Sense system, which lets players detect enemies and items nearby. But there is a trade-off. Use it too long and your stamina drains. And worse, other players can sense when you've activated it, so the hunter can quickly become the hunted. Up to 12 players can jump into a match, pairing up in teams of 2 across 3 different environments, including dense jungle maps. Objectives change every phase, and if you fail, you're out. In short, it's about survival, stay sharp, or get eliminated. Now let's zoom out for a second, because Fox Hunt is interesting, not just because it's new, but because it shows Konami is experimenting again. For years, fans have wondered, what's the future of Metal Gear? Can the series move forward without the legendary Hideo Kojima at the helm? Well, Fox Hunt feels like Konami's attempt to show that they're still willing to push the franchise in fresh directions. But while players prepare for Fox Hunt, there's another topic fans won't let go of, and that is the Master Collection Volume 2. During this year's Tokyo Game Show, series producer Noriaki Okamura gave an update. While it wasn't the big reveal people were hoping for, at least they confirmed one thing. Master Collection Volume 2 is very much in development. Okamura admitted it's taking a long time, and really, that is no surprise. When Konami released Volume 1, calling it Volume 1, fans immediately expected a second. After all, the franchise has too many classic entries to leave it there. So what's exactly the holdup? Well, rumors suggest Volume 2 would include Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, and Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. And if that is true, then Konami has some serious technical hurdles to overcome, especially with Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. Remember, Guns of the Patriots was built exclusively for the PlayStation 3, running on Sony's complex Cell processor. Porting it to modern consoles and PC is not simple and straightforward. Fans do point out that emulators like RPCS3 have managed to get MGS4 running decently on PC, so if hobbyists can do it, surely Konami can with all their technical development teams. Still, for an official release though, the expectations are way higher than what is actually currently emulated on PC. It's not just about making it run, it's about making it feel polished, modern, and worthy of the Metal Gear legacy. And also, don't forget, you're going to charge people for this. You're going to expect people to pay for this, so you've got to make it up to a certain standard. Okamura didn't give a release window, only saying the project is moving forward properly and that it's shaping up to be enjoyable. That's encouraging, but it also means we're in for a long wait. And let's be honest, patience isn't easy when we're talking about a game that fans have been begging to replay outside of PlayStation 3 for almost 20 years. So the question is, can Konami deliver? Can they not only remake and remaster these classic games, but also restore the trust of a fan base that has been skeptical ever since the legendary Kojima's departure? Foxhunt does show promise. The Master Collection Volume 2 could be massive and could be a big win for Konami with gamers and loyal fans of the series. But until then, all fans can do is wait and keep hoping Konami does right by one of the most iconic franchises in gaming history. So let's move on to talk about another highly anticipated game many people, including myself, have been looking forward to for a very long time. Pearl Abyss has officially announced that Crimson Desert will launch on March the 19th, 2026 for PC, PS5 and Xbox. Pre-orders are already live and you've got options. The standard edition will cost the usual $69.99, while the deluxe digital edition comes in at $79.99 with some extra in-game cosmetics. And for collectors, there is a stunning $279.99 collector's edition, which includes a massive 17-inch diorama and a digital ultimate pack with unique weapons and horse gear. Plus, all the pre-orders come with the Khalid Shield, and PS5 buyers get an exclusive plate set. The wait has been long for this game. Crimson Desert was first released pre-COVID at G-Star 2019 and was originally going to have MMO elements, but the team shifted towards a single-player focused open-world action adventure. That change meant more development time, more polish, and of course, a lot of patience required from us fans. The good news for PC players is that the recommended system requirements have also been lowered, making the game more accessible. Now, previously, you needed a Ryzen 7 7700X or an i7 13700K CPU and an RTX 4070 Super GPU. But now, with the lowered specs, you need a Ryzen 5 5600 or an i5 11600K and an RTX 2080 or RX 6700 XT, which will also do the trick. You can check out the full specs and the details of the pre-orders via the link in the description. Now, Pearl Abyss has also pushed for more realism in the game world. Monsters can react dynamically, they can drop their weapons, fight barehanded, or pick up their weapons and continue attacking. It's all about creating a living, breathing world that feels alive and responsive. Another interesting part, which I thought was fascinating, Sony is reportedly looking to partner with Korean studios like Pearl Abyss and others, possibly to secure exclusive content for games like Crimson Desert and future projects. Could we be seeing a bigger collaboration here? Well, only time will tell, but I'll keep an eye on this story and any other rumors around more collaborations with Korean or other Asian studios, and we'll bring it to future videos. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. If racing is your thing, Forza Horizon 6 is right around the corner. Microsoft confirmed that the game will release first on PC and Xbox in 2026, with a PlayStation 5 version arriving after the initial launch. Now, the latest Horizon game is taking players to Japan, a long-requested location, from the neon streets of Tokyo to winding mountain roads and iconic racing circuits. Playground Games wants to capture the authentic feel of Japanese culture, including music, cars, and fashion. The team has also been focused on open-world playability, making sure the Horizon experience is as fun, as fluid as ever. Imagine driving through Japan's diverse landscapes, discovering secret areas, and taking part in seasonal events, all while enjoying the vibrant culture. Have you ever wondered why Japan was such a popular pick amongst fans? It's a combination of iconic cars, diverse scenery, and a deep car culture that fits perfectly with the Horizon formula. Forza Horizon 6 will be available on PC and Xbox in 2026, with the PlayStation 5 release planned after the launch. The wait might be a little bit longer for PlayStation fans, but the scenery alone is worth it. And let's be honest, we all knew this was coming, right? With the success of the recent Forza Horizon 5 coming to PlayStation, Forza Horizon 6 coming to PlayStation was a formality. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you're planning on picking up Forza on PlayStation or on Xbox. So next up, we have interesting rumors coming through that EA is going private with a $50 billion buyout. Now, according to reports, a group of investors, including Silver Lake and Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, are in advanced talks for a $50 billion buyout. The idea is to take EA private, improve performance away from public pressure, and then potentially sell it later at a higher price. But this does raise some questions about how might Saudi influence affect the games that we love. Could this change the direction of franchises like Battlefield or EA Sports FC? This isn't the first time the Saudi Public Investment Fund has invested in the gaming world. Don't forget, they've previously put billions into companies like Take-Two and Nintendo, so it's clear that they're playing the long game here. It's exciting and a little concerning at the same time. Will this move benefit gamers, or is it more about financial strategy? Only time will tell, but it's a story worth keeping an eye on. So let's move on to the next piece of news here. If you've been thinking about grabbing an Xbox Series X or S at Costco, you might be out of luck. Reports are suggesting, and lots of rumors on social media, that Costco has stopped selling Xbox consoles in the US and the UK. Customers have confirmed with store staff that this is a business decision and that there are currently no plans to restock the console. For Canadian buyers, Costco still lists Xbox consoles, but they're currently out of stock. Meanwhile, PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch systems are still available. Xbox has sold just over a measly 30 million units this generation, which makes it arguably one of the worst console generations in history. With recent price increases in the US, this could make things even trickier. I wonder if there are going to be even more retailers coming forward and following Costco in not stocking Xbox consoles. That just doesn't have a big enough demand in the marketplace. Let me know your thoughts on this, guys. And last but not least, let's move on to Ghosts of Yotei. The reviews are out, and at the time of creating this video, Ghosts of Yotei is sitting at a Metacritic score of 87 based off 107 critic reviews, which is very, very impressive to say the least. And just to add, I thought Ghosts of Tsushima was a masterpiece, absolutely one of my all-time favorite games, and Tsushima scored 83 on Metacritic, with the director's cut of Tsushima strangely also scoring 87. Same as Yotei. Now, the reviews obviously contain some information about the game, but it's relatively spoiler-free, apart from the obvious bits of the game which have already been revealed by either other critic reviews or from Sony and Sucker Punch themselves. So let's talk about Ghosts of Yotei, the long-awaited follow-up to Ghosts of Tsushima. Sucker Punch, the studio behind the game, has built a reputation for making sequels that don't just repeat what comes before, but improve on it in meaningful ways. Think about Sly 2 Band of Thieves or Infamous 2. Both games arguably were more ambitious versions of the originals. They were better than the first versions. And now with Ghosts of Yotei, they've pushed even further. The game has been 5 years in the making, and you can feel it. Everything that worked in Ghosts of Tsushima has been polished, expanded, and evolved. Everything that didn't quite land has been reworked. The result is a game that feels both familiar and fresh. But what makes a sequel so different? Let's take a look at that. The story moves us forward more than 300 years, from the Mughal invasion of Tsushima to the early Edo period in 1603. Our old hero, the legend Jin Sakai, is sadly gone. He is no more. He is now just a legend of the past. Instead, we step into the role of Atsu, driven by revenge. 16 years ago, she lost her parents to a brutal group known as the Yotei 6. Now she's ready to hunt them down one by one. It's a classic tale of vengeance, but it's not just about revenge. Through flashbacks and shifting timelines, the game slowly reveals Atsu's past, her doubts, and the weight of her mission. We see how others respond to her quest. Some stand by her, some will challenge her, and others fall somewhere in between. That's what makes this engaging. It's not just about chasing targets, it's about questioning what revenge really means. Have you ever thought about how far you'd go if someone took everything from you? When it comes to gameplay, Ghost of Yotei walks a fine line between structure and freedom. You can pursue the Yotei 6 in different ways, but Sucker Punch doesn't let you loose all at once like Assassin's Creed style. Instead, the map does open up in stages. That structure keeps the story focused while still giving you freedom to explore. And the open world itself, it's set in Ezo, the northern island of Japan, with Mount Yotei looming in the background. The map is about the same size as Tsushima, but it feels different, more mysterious, more hands-off. There are not endless markers telling you where to go. Instead, you discover things naturally in the game. Villages, camps, hidden shrines, they're all out there somewhere waiting to be stumbled upon. The wind still guides you like in the first game, but now there's a fog of war covering the map. Until you visit a place, you don't actually know what's there. Even when you spot something through your spyglass, it only shows up as a scribble on the map, like a rumor. You have to still go and discover it. And that sense of discovery is what makes the world feel alive. Activities return too, but with more variety. Bamboo strikes, hot springs, and fox dens are back alongside new additions like wolf dens, sumi-e painting, and bounties. Each activity feels rewarding, whether it's for new gear, upgrades, or just the satisfaction of exploring. And speaking of wolves, no, they're not your constant companion like the horse. The wolf appears more as a surprise ally in battles, especially after you complete wolf dens to strengthen the bond. It's not something you can always count on, but when it does show up, it feels special. Combat has also been completely reworked in the game. Instead of just switching stances like in Ghost of Tsushima, Atsu can wield different weapons depending on the situation. You've got a katana for sword duels, dual blades for overwhelming polearm users, an odachi for larger foes, a spear, and even the kusarigama to break shields. And ranged weapons, bombs, fire-infused blades, and even a flintlock rifle. You've also got a toolkit that's both deep and fun. The game pushes you to adapt, to think on your feet. You can't just spam one weapon and expect to win every battle. Every fight will ask you a different question. What is the best tool for this movement? And yes, stealth is still an option, although it does feel less central this time round. Visually, Ghost of Yotei is absolutely stunning. The landscapes, the snowy peaks, dense forests, quiet villages, they all look absolutely breathtaking on PlayStation 5. The world feels alive even when the details are not quite perfect. Sure, some NPCs don't look great close up, but when you're riding through the fields at sunset or standing at the foot of Mount Yotei, the beauty is undeniable. Sucker Punch also takes full advantage of the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. From the resistance of the triggers to the subtle vibrations of footsteps to swiping the touchpad for different actions like playing music or painting, is probably one of the most creative uses of the controller so far. Performance-wise, the game is absolutely rock solid. Multiple graphics modes lets you pick between higher resolution, smooth frame rates, or ray tracing. On the PlayStation 5 Pro, the Ray Tracing Pro mode delivers both beauty and smoothness in a great way to experience the game. And just like the first game, there are stylistic modes too. Kurosawa mode returns with its classic black and white style, but there are new ones too. I think it's pronounced Mica mode or Miike mode, which adds more grit and blood, while the Watambi mode layers lo-fi beats over the gameplay. They're not must-plays for your first run, they highlight the game's celebration of Japanese culture, and it's another reason to go back in and replay the game once you have completed it. So the final verdict on Ghost of Yotei from the reviews coming in. Ghost of Yotei is more than just a sequel, it's a refinement. It's about giving players more freedom, more tools, and a world that invites exploration instead of just handing everything on a checklist. It challenges you in combat, rewards you in discovery, and keeps you invested in Atsu's journey. It's not a reinvention, but it doesn't need to be. It's an evolution. And maybe that's the point, right? Sometimes the best sequels don't need to start from scratch. They just need to build on what's already strong and then take it to the next level. Ghost of Yotei does that exactly, and in doing so, it might just be Sucker Punch's greatest ever game. Guys, it's a masterpiece. I'll leave it there. Go enjoy that experience when the game comes out at the end of the week, and just enjoy the game for what it's supposed to be, a beautiful expression of gaming art. Guys, appreciate you tuning into the video. Let me know your thoughts on the articles discussed in the video today. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.